Hello, welcome to another collection update. Haven't done one of these for a while, largely because not much has changed, but I have bought a couple of figures that I didn't review for the channel just because I was incredibly late to the party, so I didn't think there was much point, but I will point those out as I go along. And there may actually be a hint as to what those are here in my alt mode graveyard. You can see I've got the Takara Ratchet and Ironhide there. It's actually the KOs with the Shadow Fisher upgrades. Now, I never planned to replace these. I didn't like the X-Transbots versions at all, but the Fans Toys ones, again, I didn't think they were enough of an upgrade to bother, but then they popped up on Amiga Lock after the fact, and I kind of impulse bought them both. So I'll go into more detail with that when we get to the meat of the collection. But yeah, this is just some overflow stuff that I have now. I'm running out of space really, so it's in the kitchen in an old cabinet. Similarly down here, some are more of my alt modes. I really should get rid of them as I replace them, but I'm a bit of a hoarder with stuff like this and I can't bring myself to do it. And to be honest, it's quite nice to have some of these in alt mode as well. And especially now I get a nice, I guess, alt mode use of the Fans Toys Phoenix with some of the minifigs from the official Jetfire on top there, and one of my old Galvatrons. And you know, I still think that the alt modes for the Seekers look good, even if the robot modes are a little bit dated now for the old Make Toys figures. But yeah, a lot of them are either, well, it's a mix of official and KO. Most of these cars are KO. Magnus is official. They're KO. Obviously, that's the first version of TE01 Transform Elements OP Leader right there. But yeah, that's the first batch. Let's move on to the next. And here is another random placement. A silly selection of bots that don't really have anything in common, but again, it's an overflow shelf. And so I can zoom in a little bit there, and you can see we've got the IDW mode Cyclonus there. That was my first version of Quietus. And then the second, I believe it is the second, maybe the third version of OP Leader actually. I think I got rid of the second version and kept the third. And then got a couple of other bots here. You know, my old Trailbreaker and Mirage. I think Trailbreaker's looking his age now, isn't he? But Mirage still holds up pretty well. And then the one that started it all, my MP13, because it's a Hasbro one. I think it was MP13, wasn't it, the Hasbro one? Or was it something like that? But anyway, I digress. No, maybe MP13 was the Takara one, and MP of 3 or something was the Hasbro one. Anyway, this was the first Transformers Masterpiece figure I ever had. And I said I was never going to get another one. And yeah, look how that went, eh? But anyway, this is the overflow stuff. Let's move on to the meat of the collection, shall we? And here we are with what is essentially another overflow shelf, I guess. Another alt mode graveyard. Figures I've replaced, upgraded, whatever. And their alt modes go here. Give you a look on top because you might not be able to see them all because some of them are quite low profile, like Mirage there. I've got 3 versions of Mirage, the MMC, Transform Element, and as you'll come to see, the Fans Toys. And around here, Huffer hiding in the back there, that's my KO Prime, sorry, and my Hasbro Rodimus there. And that's my original V1 cup, which broke when I transformed it to alt mode. It's the one and only transformation I did with the figure, but I got the updated V2 of it, so I'm glad that I didn't transform it before that. It looks okay in alt mode. Moving on down, my Feral Rex KO. Still a cool figure, really like that one. And down even further, excuse the mess in the background, that's my Combiner Wars Devastator there. Now, I haven't gone in on any of the Devastators that are coming out because I'm impatient, and I didn't want to buy a few of them only for them to take years and years to release, or maybe not even be completed at all. But now it looks like Fans Toys is almost complete, and it does look quite nice, but I don't know that it looks significantly better than this. I mean, I know it's more tune accurate, but I do actually like the way this thing looks, and maybe it could stand to be a touch taller, but honestly, it does me for my dev. If they sold them all in one set, maybe I'd get them because I'd know they were complete then. Maybe at some point in the future they'll do that and I'll be able to pick up a whole set of either X-Transbots or Fans Toys, or I think even MMC are doing one, aren't they? But yeah, I quite like this guy as is. He does me. I'm not massively into buying loads of combiners, but Devastator was always a favourite. And down here, the one and only cone head I have. I didn't go in on the other two because they took way too long to release them. And I don't know if I can be bothered to get the KOs, because the KOs look okay. I mean, the KOs that use the MP52 mold, slightly adjusted. But yeah, I'm not sure that I want to go in on those either, because I was never a huge fan of the cone heads, and they're not completely on model. So I might just have this guy here. And again, just a couple of overflow figures there in their alt modes, and the old blue lobster figure there of Autobot Spike. And then down at the bottom, still the big old boy, the biggest one I've got, the X9 Amiga Supreme there. It's difficult to actually get him in frame because he's so big. Excuse the fingers. But yes, still one of my favourite figures, but I wish I had a better place to display him, to be honest. And then moving on from that, just some other Season 2 figures that I've got there. The updated Smokescreen, that's an official one. That is the more tune accurate. And then I've got Skids, and I've got the old tracks there. Power Glide, Cosmos. But yeah. And moving over, we come to, I guess, my Unicron display. Got the poster behind there, the UK poster, that one, I believe. No, that's the US poster, isn't it? And then the Unicron in alt mode there. Obviously, this is the Cell, the first version of Cell. Never did get my hands on the allegedly more tune accurate colouring version, but I still quite like this one, to be honest. He was always painted slightly differently depending on what you watched. He looked a little bit bluer in some scenes than he did, even though his model was obviously a little bit greyer. Got the beat up Megatron there with some of the small figures, so I've got a couple of homages going on there, if you know, you know. But yeah, moving across. Commander Modesty has a new home. It doesn't really fit the movie theme, I know, but he is Season 3 after all, and I've got the Japanese movie poster there, which I love. Never saw that until I was an adult, fairly recently actually. But so I had to have that. And then here I've got my Sovereign V2, or the movie Sovereign. Not a V2, is it? Sorry, this is the M variant with the more movie accurate colouring. And then obviously my other Cell in robot mode, which I love. And my little mini Galvatron down there. And of course the UK poster behind. Okay, now this shelf here has pretty similar layout to last time, but you might notice, as I said, at the back there, got the old Fans Toys Ironhide there, Warhorse. Annoyingly, mine came missing the one face I really wanted to use, which was kind of the angry shouting face. So I'm waiting on the replacement part for that to be shipped with my next order from Amiga Lock. But yeah, that was slightly annoying. And my next order from Amiga Lock should actually be I think is it Fantastic model rather than Fans Toys, but their is it Rambo, their Sideswipe, which will replace this guy. I love this guy. I think he looks really good, but obviously it's an older style now, isn't it? An older design, whereas the new one looks really it looks much closer to their jazz aesthetic and stuff, and even Sunstreaker looks more akin to this newer style than Steamroll here. But moving on down again, all fairly similar, but apart from this guy at the back here, Ratchet, Fans Toys or Fantastic Model, I forget which one it was, dock. And yeah, again, just much better in alt modes. I don't know if you can see, actually. I don't know if I can poke. If I zoom in, maybe you'll see. But yeah, the the faction symbols on these guys, they were a real pain to get on because of where they are. They're vinyl symbols as well. I don't know if that will actually focus, but you can still see the placement, which is what I intended. They're a pain to apply, but they do look good. And I really like both of those guys. I'm glad I picked them up now. They were impulse purchases, which is why I didn't do full reviews for them, because I was so late to the party. They'd been reviewed by all and sundry, so it just didn't seem worth the effort to do it, to be honest. Really, again, I'm going to get the Fans Toys Prowl and Blue Streak when they're available, because they will have a slightly updated aesthetic. It will fit better with the new modern aesthetic, but I do think the sort of cartoon variants of these hold up reasonably well. The repaints are much nicer than the originals in my mind. And again, I'd love them to do a more accurate wheeljack at some point, but I think largely Hound looks pretty good still. And apart from the fact they went with a weird grey, two-tone white and grey deco for Mirage, which is completely wrong. He should be white all over. I still think Phantasm looks really good. And moving down, we come to the movie shelf. Nothing's really changed here because that's pretty complete now, although I have put Hot Rod on a slightly different pose. But yeah, not much to see there. And similarly, down the bottom here, nothing has really changed since the last collection update, so I won't go on about that too much. And again, not much has changed here. Still got my MP44, the official one here, with his trailer, all the minifigs, roller, etc. Good figure, I don't like the backpack, and the battery gimmick was unnecessary. I wish they'd not done that, but I still think he's the most, aesthetically pleasing Prime. He's got great articulation. Paint is not great. I've been quite lucky in that mine hasn't scratched too much. But I really like it. I just think it looks really nice. And I know there are people who prefer the other options, but I am a big fan, just not a huge fan of the price tag. And moving down, well, we come to the mini bots here, and that collection is almost complete because the one that sticks out like a sore thumb is clearly old Boost here. And I've got multiple versions of Boost. But yeah, this guy looking long in the tooth now. But I do have Turbo on order, the Fans Toys or Fantastic Model, whichever it is. And that will pretty much round out that collection, because the official B, although he has his detractors, he does fit in aesthetically with these guys. And I think the Fans Toys, the rest of them will be Fans Toys then, and they will be really cohesive, and they all look amazing. I think they're some of the best Fans Toys figures that have come out in recent memory are the mini bots. So yeah, really looking forward to getting hold of Turbo, but I understand he's now coming after Rambo, so that'll be interesting. Moving on down, nothing's really changed here, so I won't spend too much time going into it. Got Jetfire there, or Skyfire, depending on what you want to call him, and Perceptor and Blaster. And then down the bottom, bit of reflector action with the bugs. And here we have the Decepticon Season 1 shelf, the trio, the big three in my mind. I know others would include someone else in the big three, but for me, these are the big three as a Marvel fan. And yeah, still look great. That's obviously the KO Megatron, the Infinite Transformation version, which I do think is superior to the official in some ways. Definitely has a more toon-accurate deco, but see the Soundwave at the back there, Fans Toys or Fantastic Model. Actually, Robot Paradise, wasn't it? And then I still think this is the most accurate Shockwave. I know people like the repaint, but this is the more accurate to the animation model in terms of colour. So I don't care. Come at me. Moving down, got our trio of Seekers here. Love the mould. Think they look great together. Really expressive. I know they don't have waist swivels, but they are really cool figures. And yeah, really glad I went in on these. Not so bothered about the cone heads because I wasn't as in on those in the Toon. But obviously the Seekers were some of my favourite toys as a kid as well. And yeah, finally completed the Fans Toys movie trilogy as well, the evil movie trilogy. You know, the Unicronian Heralds. Got obviously Sovereign V2 there, and the new Scourge and the the Toon version of Quietus there. I think they look great together. The one thing that does slightly annoy me is that I do like the fact that they offered different cannon placement or different mount points, like on the innermost part of the elbow and on the sort of shoulder, but I really wish they'd included one on the forearm, because I can't pull off poses that I used to be able to with the other version, which if you go back in the video somewhat, you'll remember he had that kind of bent arm pose with the cannon facing forward like he did in the movie, but you simply can't do that with this figure because of the mount points. So slightly annoying, but you know, he still looks really good and is a definite improvement, and I think aesthetically the best looking version of the figure, certainly from the front. I've heard some bad things about the QC on the X-Transbots, so I'm kind of glad I didn't order it in the end, or I cancelled my years old pre-order, I should say, and went for this when it was released. But if they do a repaint, which I've heard they might do, if they do a toy, sorry, not a toy, if they do a more accurate movie repaint and potentially even a Marvel Comics repaint, I might go in on that just to see what it's like, because I'd love to have all three of the figures from both Fans Toys and X-Transbots. And speaking of which, if you look down the bottom, there you go, you see my now relegated to the bottom shelf here, my old X-Transbots, Cyclonus and Scourge. Still love these guys, especially Cyclonus. I think he's really beefy, which is, you know, arguably more in keeping with the animation model than the slightly slimmer Quietus. I think he's more accurate in a number of ways as well. But, you know, for cohesion, you've got to have all three of the Fans Toys together for the paint and stuff. So if I do get one of the X-Transbots Galvies at some point, I will have another shelf with them, because you can never have too much Galvatron, Cyclonus and Scourge. And then, of course, here you got Hydra and old Nemesis Prime TO1N or something? I can't remember what it was. I forget what it was. It was it's basically the black and red version of that mould, and I think that looks really good. Anyway, that's it for now. As I said, I'll be back with some proper reviews of Rambo and Turbo when they're released. But until then, hope you've enjoyed this update, and thanks for watching. I will catch you next time. Take care, everyone.